Laws of power. The feeling of having no power over people is generally unbearable to us. When we feel helpless, we feel miserable. No one wants less power, everyone wants more. Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends, learn how to use enemies.
Judgment. Be wary of friends, they will betray you more quickly, for they are easily aroused to envy. They also become spoiled and tyrannical. But hire a former enemy and he will be more loyal than a friend, because he has more to prove. In fact, you have more to fear from friends than from enemies. If you have no enemies, find a way to make them. Transgression of the law. In the mid-9th century AD, a young man named Michael III assumed the throne of the Byzantine Empire. A few years before being the emperor, Michael had met Basilius, a young man from peasant Macedonian stock. When he had been visiting the stables, Basilius saved Michael's life after a wild horse got loose. Michael immediately raised Basilius from a horse trainer to the position of head of the stables. He sent his friend to the finest school in Byzantium, and the crude peasant became a cultured and sophisticated courtier. Now, Michael is the emperor, and in need of someone loyal who could trust him with the post of chamberlain and chief counselor. Michael chose Basilius, his friend, ignoring the advice of those who recommended the much more qualified, Bardas, Michael's uncle. Basilius learned well and was soon advising the emperor on all matters of state. The only problem seemed to be money. Basilius never had enough. The emperor doubled, then tripled his salary, ennobled him, and married him off to his own mistress. Bardas, Michael's uncle, was head of the army. Basilius convinced the emperor that his uncle could control him. He poured poison into Michael's ear until the emperor agreed to have his uncle murdered. During a great horse race, Basilius closed in on Bardas in the crown and stabbed him to death. Soon after, Basilius asked that he replace Bardas as head of the army. Now, he has more money, more allies in the army, and in the end more power than the emperor himself. A few years later, Michael was in financial straits from his own extravagance, asked Basilius to pay back some of the money he had borrowed over the years. Basilius refused, with a look of such impudence that the emperor suddenly realized his predicament. A few weeks later, the emperor awoke to find himself surrounded by soldiers. Basilius watched as they stabbed the emperor to death. Then, after proclaiming himself emperor, he rode his horse through the streets of Byzantium, brandishing the head of his former benefactor and best friend at the end of a long pike. Keys to power. It is natural to want to employ your friends when you find yourself in times of need. The world is a harsh place, and your friends soften the harshness. The problem is you often do not know your friends as well as you imagine. Friends often agree on things in order to avoid an argument. They cover up their unpleasant qualities so as to not offend each other. They laugh extra hard at each other's jokes. Since honesty rarely strengthens friendship, you may never know how a friend truly feels. When you decide to hire a friend, you gradually discover the qualities he/she has kept hidden. The receipt of a favor can become oppressive. It means you have been chosen because you are a friend, not because you are deserving. There is almost a touch of condescension in the act of hiring a friend that afflicts them. The more favors and gifts you supply to revive the friendship, the less gratitude you receive. If you never expect gratitude from a friend, you will be pleasantly surprised when they do prove grateful. The problem with using or hiring friends is that it will inevitably limit your power. The friend is rarely the one who is most able to help you, and in the end, skill and competence are far more important than friendly feelings. Keep friends for friendship, but work with the skilled and competent. Your enemies are an untapped gold mine that you must learn to exploit. Lincoln said, "You destroy an enemy when you make a friend of him." Without enemies around us, we grow lazy. An enemy at our heels sharpens our wits, keeping us focused and alert. The man of power welcomes conflict, using enemies to enhance his reputation as a sure-footed fighter who can be relied upon in times of uncertainty. Reversal. There are times when a friend can be used to greater effect than an enemy. A man of power often has dirty work that has to be done, but for the sake of appearances it is generally preferable to have other people do it for him. Friends often do this the best, since their affection for him makes them willing to take chances. If your plans go awry for some reason, you can use a friend as a convenient scapegoat.